Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima when the first atomic bomb fell, survived, then returned home to Nagasaki just in time for the second one, and survived that too. Most people have never heard this story. History buried it, some deliberately, some by accident. But once you know what really happened, you'll understand why it stayed hidden for so long. This is the true story of the man who survived both atomic bombs. To understand how any of this was possible, you have to understand the world at the time. The era was one of upheaval and change. Hiroshima, Japan was not the place you might imagine it today. The circumstances that made this story possible had been building for years, maybe decades. The people involved weren't extraordinary, at least not at the start. They were ordinary people caught in extraordinary situations. And the situation they found themselves in was unlike anything recorded before or since. What nobody knew then, what makes this story so remarkable, is how it would end. The events that followed unfolded faster than anyone could control. Each decision, each reaction, each moment of hesitation set the stage for what came next. Those involved were operating without a complete picture of reality. They didn't know what we know now. They couldn't have. The information was incomplete. The stakes weren't yet clear, and the people who should have been asking questions were not asking them. It is this collision of ignorance and circumstance, not malice, not incompetence, but pure human blindness, that turned an unusual situation into something the history books would struggle to explain. And yet it happened. Every verifiable detail of it. And then came the moment that changed everything. It's the kind of moment that history is made of. Not the grand declarations or the signed treaties, but the single instant where reality pivots on a single decision, a single accident, a single act of either courage or madness. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima when the first atomic bomb fell, survived, then returned home to Nagasaki just in time for the second one, and survived that too. That one sentence contains the entire pivot point of this story. Everything before it was the fuse. This was the explosion. The people present could not have processed what was happening. Witnesses described confusion, disbelief, the particular kind of silence that falls when something happens that the human brain has no category for. No training, no precedent, no framework for what they were seeing. The aftermath was immediate, and it was profound. What had seemed impossible was now undeniably real. The people caught in the middle had to find a way to make sense of it, and most of them never fully did. The institutions involved scrambled to contain the fallout. Some information was classified, some was simply forgotten. For years, sometimes decades, the full truth of what happened remained buried. Not because it wasn't important, but because it was too strange, too inconvenient, too difficult to fit into any accepted version of events. It took time for the real story to surface. It always does. History has a way of hiding its strangest chapters, not in vaults, but in plain sight, tucked between the events we decided mattered more. The man who survived both atomic bombs. A story most people will live their entire lives without ever hearing. A story that changes how you look at everything else once you know it. If you're the kind of person who finds yourself here, at the end of a story most people never start, there's more where this came from. See you in the next one.